So I apologize. I have to start again a little bit. So talking about fasting for the woman who was nursing or who was pregnant. In that case, what does she have to do when it comes to make up the fast that she missed? So as I was saying, there are two well-known issues related to this. What are those issues? That one is about the pregnant and wet nurse do not fast, and the jurists have four opinions on this issue of not to fast. One says both feed the needy, and there is no qada when it comes to them, and which is by Ibn Umar and Ibn Abbas. And Abu Hanifa, Abu Ubaid, Abu Thawr says they only fast, they don't have to feed that needy person. While Imam Shafi'i said that they have to fast and they have to give feed the needy as well. Now the pregnant woman performs the qada but does not feed the needy, while the wet nurse performs the qada as well, feeds the needy. So there's some scholars distinguish between the one who is pregnant and the one who is nursing. Now there are different opinions. The reason for them to reach to these conclusions is based on that. The one who considers them as sick, so we know for a person who is sick and misses the fast, in that case, he has to do the qada only. They don't feed the needy. The one who considers the fasting is exhausting for a person who's pregnant or nursing. In that case, they are for them requiring feeding the needy only. Okay, the one who considered them both, they think of them as, they took them as both they are sick and they are and they are exhausting, hence they have to fast and they have to feed. So that's the reason I am going into sometimes these kind of details is to get an idea of when the fuqaha differ. There is a reason behind the differences of opinion. It's not just that they just wake up one day and start making up opinions or something. They study the reality, they study the rulings regarding the specific reality, and they apply on that. So if somebody is differing in the reality, then they may have a different opinion upon that as well. So for example, they look at the pregnant woman as whether as a sick person, they're putting in the category of sick person as a reality, or they're putting them in the category of a person who's exhausting, an old person, because he is exhausting, he cannot fast. So in that case, he is only have to feed the needy. A person who cannot, or a sick person who cannot, he has a sickness in a manner that he cannot recover. That kind of sick person comes under a similar category, that he doesn't have to force fast because he cannot fast at all. So in that case, he just feed the needy. Okay, and there are differences even in that category as well. Now, jurists agree that all men and women who are not able to fast or not to, so all men they may be able to fast or they may not be able to fast. So they say they are under obligation to feed the needy. Some of this group of scholars that include Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, they say that they must need the feeding. Of course, if they can. If they cannot, then this is enough from them. Another group said they are not obliged to feed the needy. That includes Imam Malik, but he still considered that this is something recommended to do it, but it's not required, it's just a desirable action. Now, come to the part which sometimes, especially the kids, they ask this question a lot, that what if a person has eaten or he has drank something out of forgetfulness? In that case, if a person eat or drink during the fast by forgetfulness, the fast continues on. He can continue on fasting because of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that talks about that if anyone forgets that he's fasting and eat or drink, then he should complete his fast, because this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who fed that person, and he should continue fasting. Now, the question comes in about intentional breaking the fast. About that also, there is ikhtilaf, but there's one issue is very clear cut. If a person, he intentionally have, for example, he slept with his wife and have the sexual intercourse, in that case, it breaks the fast. And according to hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are three options he has. Number one is free a slave. If he cannot, then he has to fast 60 consecutive days. If he cannot do that, then feed the 60 people. Okay. Now this is a very heavy kind of a kafara that you have to pay. But this is about the sexual intercourse. Now, some fuqaha, they say this is about any kind of intentional breaking the fast, by the way. But the one what I believe is the correct opinion about the subject is that if a person who has broken the fast, other means, for example, he has eaten intentionally or something, that he has to make up the fast. Not necessarily he has to do 60 consecutive days. But Hanafi opinion about that is that whichever way you intentionally break the fast, you follow the very same one. Okay, there's actually a story about one of the Khulafa. He is the one who broke the fast by sleeping with his wife, or he slept. He broke his fast like that, and he reached out to a scholar, and he told him that you have to fast 60 straight days. Now, if you remember the hadith I was just talking about, it was not saying, first thing was not fasting 60 straight days. First thing was to free a slave. If you can't, then you fast 60 straight days. And then if you cannot do that, then you feed 60 people. Now, the scholar said to him that he should fast 60 straight days. And the other scholar talked to him and said, why did you say that? While the hadith is clear about the subject. And his thing was, he came from the angle of maslahah, that the benefit in that case is this, that if he would have said it to him, go free a slave, he has no problem. He free a slave and he'll do the same act again. Hence, to prevent him to do this action, he did that. But this was an incorrect way of looking at the hukum shari. Okay? Hukum shari is not based off benefits. It's not based off maslahah. Hukum shari is based on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. And when we say hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that includes the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not just made up thing or something. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was, when talk about the sunnah of Rasulullah, that's also part of the wahi. It's a different kind of wahi than the Quran. So we have to follow the order no matter what we are discussing in this subject. So maslahah of benefit cannot take the precedence just because it's easier for that person, hence we want to make his life miserable. This is now how the hukum shari works. Okay. Now, when it comes to other thing is, inshallah, we are almost at the end, just a few things left. We talked about the Ramadan and I have seen that some of the, especially the young ones and some adults also, they think of it when it comes to fasting. Also, if you make yourself more miserable or something, that you're getting more hasanat. That's not the case. Whenever we talk about reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the action to be acceptable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is based on if it is according to the Sharia or not. It's not the issue of how difficult it becomes for you, hence it becomes more rewarding. If you're following the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it becomes easy or difficult for you, that's the reward is there for you. So why I'm bringing this up? Sometimes people think of it as fasting when you talk about that. Oh, so if you fast without the suhoor, so it's a difficult fast further than that. So hence maybe better. No, that's not true. As a matter of fact, there's a blessing in there. There's a barakah in the suhoor. So we should, even if we can just get up and drink some water, have a date or two, eat something for suhoor. There is a barakah in there because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Tasahharu fa inna fi sahuri barakah." That take a meal before the Fajr time, eat something. There is a barakah in there. Why do we want to leave the barakah? Not only that, there's a barakah, but also the hadith says there's a difference between our fasting and the fasting of the people of the book Al-Kitab. Is this that is eating shortly before the dawn, before the Fajr time. So this is that makes our fasting a little bit different than them, that we are following what Rasulullah said. Now, same way about the iftar. The hadith said, "La yazalu an-nasu bi khairin ma ajjalul fitr." That says that the people will remain on the right path as long as they hasten the breaking of the fast. So that doesn't make us more pious and righteous if we delay to break the fast 10 minutes or 15 minutes. No. Actually, the more something closer to what Allah has commanded is, hurry up. When it's time to break the fast as soon as possible. Okay? All right. Now, when it comes to etiquette and the blessings of when we're talking about etiquette of fasting as well, so simple things that the Rasulullah ﷺ said, when any one of you get up in the morning in the state of fasting, he should neither use obscene language nor do any act of ignorance. And if anyone slanders him or quarrel with him, he should say that in nisa'im, that I'm fasting. Do not get into quarrel, do not fight, do not curse at each other, do not use obscene language, all those things. And the hadith of Rasulullah says, every sinful deed can be expiated and the fast is for me. So I will give the reward. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. Rasulullah is reporting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that. The fasting is for me and I give the reward for it. And the smell which comes out of the mouth of a fasting person is better in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the smell of the musk or the misk in Arabic. Yes, we know that when we are not eating for the whole day, our breath may smell. But in sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that smell is better than the smell of the misk. Now, hadith also talks about the blessing and the etiquette is the siyam or the fasting is a junnah. A siyam, junnah means it is a shield. It is a shield that protects us from what? Because in the state of fasting, what really happens actually? What happens here is that we are in the state of consciousness. That's why we say we are in the state of taqwa here, because this is something which is halal that we are prevented to eat or drink. Eating, drinking, even sleeping with your wife or something, these are halal actions. But because of, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for this, we prevent ourselves, abstain from these things which are halal otherwise. And this works as a siyam, as a junnah. Junnah, it is a shield for us. It protects us. Similar kind of hadith says that al-imam junnah. Al-imam is a junnah. Who's the imam? Imam is Amir al-Mu'mineen. That is referred as the word Khalifa. He is the junnah. How is the junnah? He protects the ummah. The whole ummah gather and unite together behind him. It's the same kind of a terminology is used here as it was used for the fasting. So we should remember these things, not just in isolation. Sometimes we have to connect these things together and to understand, realize that what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expect from us. Okay, then moving forward, the hadith of Rasulullah talks about the doors of the Jannah. Okay, that it says that there is a gate in paradise, it's called Ar-Rayyan, and those who observe fast will enter through this on the day of judgment, and none except with the one who fasts will enter from here. And once all the people who observe the fast, they will enter, that door will be closed. So it's a special door for the people who fast. So, and this is a great blessing, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those who are able to achieve all these blessings. Now, moving on to another aspect of Ramadan, which is i'tikaf. So i'tikaf is another sunnah act of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In general, scholars agree on that i'tikaf is a sunnah act. It's not an obligation, except in the case if a person has made another or a vow that he will do that. In that case, because we're commanded to fulfill our vow. Even a Sahabi came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he made a vow in the Jahiliyyah that he will do the i'tikaf in the haram. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, go fulfill your vow, fulfill your the promise that you have made to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the only kind of i'tikaf which is an obligation, otherwise it's a sunnah act. Okay, when you read the rulings regarding the i'tikaf, there are many differences in many things. There's a set of group of scholars, they look at the i'tikaf is secluding yourself in the masjid. Majority of the scholars agree upon it is only done in the masjid. Okay, now you seclude yourself, but what do you do in that? Because i'tikaf, the purpose of that is the qurbah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, getting near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for that they say it can only be achieved by fasting. You have to have a niyyah, fasting, and dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and reciting Quran. These are the things. Now the ones who believe, and they have their own evidences for that it's not only these things, because there are other things that can be done for the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they can say that you can go for example, for Salatul Janazah. Okay, because the other group, they prevent the people to go from Salatul Janazah even to attend, or even to visit as a sick person or something. While we see in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are differences you can see. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we find that even he would put his head in the window, which was in the hujra of his wife, she would comb his hair. There's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam talks about that he was walking with one of the Ummahatul Mu'mineen and in the i'tikaf, and he saw two of the Sahaba start walking fast, and he called them up. And it was the night time. He was walking one of the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam back home, and he started walking fast. So Rasulullah called them up. He said, "Come here," and they came, and he introduced her as this is one of my wife. I believe it was Salama radiallahu anha. And the Sahaba goes, "Ya Rasulullah, would we doubt your integrity?" And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them that shaitan runs in the body of the humans like the blood runs in the veins of the human being. So you never know what kind of a gun that you are carrying about somebody. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam clarified. There are many lessons for us for these kind of situations as well. But anyways, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in general used to do the i'tikaf the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan, and except the last year, the year before Rasulullah passed away, he did the 20 days of i'tikaf. Now, about the i'tikaf, it doesn't have to be in the month of Ramadan, it can be done later on. But if you have intended to do it, and you're not able to do it, as in the case of Rasulullah one time, that he did not do in Ramadan, then he made it up in the month of Shawwal. And then, so if you intended to do it and you did not do it, then it's an obligation for you. Some of the scholars say that you have to fulfill your vow again, that you intended to do and you were not able to do. Now, about the number of days, there are ikhtilaf about what time to start, when to end also. Is it before the Fajr you start, or right before the sunset you start? When do you end? Is it right after the sunset or when the moon is sighted, or you come out for Salatul Eid from the i'tikaf? So there are differences about that. What is the minimum? Even for that, there are differences of opinion. Point I'm making is there are a lot of differences in this subject. And when we talk about differences of opinions, just make sure what the opinion that you're following is a Shari'i valid opinion. Like when I was talking about moon sighting. So there are two valid Shari'i opinions. That's fine. Now the one which is stronger, which I believe is the global sighting, meaning the whole ummah fast together by sighting. But there is an opinion which is based on the understanding of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. Okay, so that's about i'tikaf. Now, that's just some of the things I want to talk about in general. I will just end it up with something which I really always like to end up the month of Ramadan talk about, which is Sahaba, they understood that this is the month that you can gain reward in multitudes. So they did not stop there, that as if they become like monks or something. So you find them, they go further than that. What is the further? The very first battle in Islam happened in the month of Ramadan, which is called Yawm al-Furqan as well. Battle of Badr. That happened in the month of Ramadan. So Sahaba did not think of Ramadan as something of becoming lazy, just becoming a time to just eat more and more, whether suhoor or iftar. No, they thought of it, okay, we're going to multitude? Yes. You find them. They are the one who are worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal during the nighttime, and in the daytime, they are doing whatever it takes to raise the kalimatullah, to raise the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see that the Badr happened in that time. Fatah Makkah, the conquest of Makkah happened in Ramadan. Same way, the opening of Spain happened in Ramadan. And the Battle of Ain Jalut happened in the month of Ramadan. So this month is marked as a month of victory for this ummah. Today, unfortunately, the very same month we find, unfortunately, many times we hear different kind of news about how the ummah is treated badly around the world, whether it's the East or the West. And that's because of our own weakness, because we have detached ourselves from implementing the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal as a whole, as a way of life, and distancing ourselves from the other ways of life. This is the way that we can be victorious, and we have talked about this many times in the subject in the past as well. But if there is, inshallah, I'll conclude the talk about this today here. But if there is any questions or comments about the subject that we have discussed today, I will try my best to give the answer. If I don't, I can inshallah try to get the answer later in the future. And you can always reach out to me through the Imam Sahib here, that if there is a question for the future, I will try to answer them in the future as well, inshallah. Okay.